Jay Taylor. I'm the editor of Jay Taylor's Gold Energy and Tech Stocks, and I'm also the host of a radio show called Turning Hard Times into Good Times. I'm here at the Metals Investor Forum in Toronto. It is March 2nd, 2019, and I'm really pleased to have Ben Mossman with me. He is a mining engineer. He is also the president and CEO of Rise Gold Corp. It's a story that I just learned to know about recently. I'd actually known about the project. It is a very rich, high-grade historical gold mine in California. It's the second largest gold producer in the United States back during World War II, the early days of World War II. A very exciting story, and I'm really pleased, Ben, that you could join me today because I think this is a story I want more people to know about. You know, when I find a good thing, I like to share it with people, so I'm really glad that you could join me. So talk to us a little bit about what the historical mining and the grades and how much gold came out of here and what were the grades and how deep did those two mines go? They were mines that are next to each other, right?
Yeah, there's two mines and they're slightly different lithology, but they're related to each other, the Idaho and the Brunswick mines.
The New Brunswick mine, right.
Yeah, and the reason why it's called the Idaho Maryland is they started out in the Idaho claim and then it went on to the Maryland claim, so it became Idaho Maryland mine.
Oh, okay.
So the Idaho veins, we kind of just shortened it there, but it's the Idaho Maryland mine was the largest producing part of the mine, did 1.6 million ounces at an average head grade of 28 grams per ton.
Wow.
And then in 36, the mining company purchased the Brunswick mine, which is the adjacent mine, which hadn't really done much production up to that point, but very quickly, they found that these veins, there was a number of these Brunswick veins, which were lesser grade, but still in today's terms very high grade. They produce at 9 grams per ton average head grade and about 800,000 ounces. So between the two mines, the Idaho Maryland and the Brunswick mine, they did 2.4 million ounces at an average head grade of 17 grams per ton, or half ounce per ton. So that's the average grade that went to the mill.
And what depth did those mines, the deepest of those two go?
And so the Brunswick, they stopped, their final mining level was 1,600 foot level, so 1,600 feet below surface. And the Idaho mine, most of the mining was done to about 2,000 feet, and the final level was at 2,400 feet. So there's some pillars and things around the mine, but the biggest potential is below where they stopped mining.
Right.
And that's where they were intently, sinking the shaft deeper, developing the mine deeper. They wanted to get the shaft to 5,000 feet. They got to 3,280 before the mine was shut down in 1942, but their goal was to get to the 5,000.
And the government shut the mine down because of World War II. They wanted the resources devoted to producing copper and other things that could be used in the war. Nobody until now, until Rise, nobody drilled below to check for the continuity at depth. You've done so. Talk to us a little bit about the success you had, because it's phenomenal. The grades are extremely high. You're seeing the same kind of grades at great depths. How deep have you gone, and what grades have you come up with your deep drilling?
Yeah, we started out, we've been drilling just over a year. So the very first hole, we drilled below the Brunswick mine on the 1,600 foot level, which we hit, I think it was about 12 grams per ton gold over almost 15-meter intercept. So right off the gate, got very good intercept below the Brunswick mine. And then we spent some time drilling, basically starting out at the Brunswick mine with numerous veins there. Started at 1,600 foot, then we stepped down to 2,300 foot. We hit there, I think it was a 24 gram per ton hit there or so. And then in hole 5, which we just kept pushing it down as far as we could go, and it went past 6,000 feet depth. And at that point, we didn't want to push it too much further to damage our drill rods, but we hit 2 veins down there, a full kilometer below where they stopped mining on the 1,600 foot level. And it was a 24 gram per ton hit over around 4 meters, and then 11 gram per ton hit, which I think was over 2.5 meters. So, and those are a full kilometer below. So
it's incredible.
Yeah, and the expectation was that these ore deposits, like an orogenic gold deposit, shouldn't have any. There's no reason why it shouldn't continue to depth. And the historic government reports from the area, they note that in the reports, saying there's no difference, there's no change in the nature of the grade or the veins as they go to depth. And then basically, the depth of mining and the economics will dictate the depth of the mines, and not the geology.
Right. So you're down. What do you need to do now What are your strategies going forward? I mean, you know this mineralization extends to great depth. What do you do? What's your next step? What do you do to move this thing towards production, if indeed that's your goal? And I know you're a mining engineer,
That's right.
which brings with it, obviously I'm thinking you're not a geologist, you're a mining engineer. This is a project you would expect a mining engineer to work on. It's not a matter of now, especially it's not a matter of trying to figure out, is the gold there? You know it's there. So what are the next steps and what do you plan to do to move this project forward?
Yeah, so we've kind of done this first pass drilling on a number of widely varied targets, which have been successful in showing the potential size of the ore body, and that was a big part of Yamana coming in to become a major investor. So now what we'll do is we're gonna do a bit more drilling on the really high grade Idaho veins. So we recently got in December released a hole. It was like 64 ounces a ton over 1.5 feet. So we're gonna look to find some more of this really high grade Idaho material, and then we'll start drilling out a small resource, something to justify the capital cost of reopening the mine. And in the meantime, we're working on the permitting issues as far as like dewatering, water quality, and things like that, so that we'll be ready to apply for an application to reopen the mine sometime, say in the next years.
Okay, would you be doing some economic studies? Obviously, you would have cap cost, a substantial amount of capital cost, I would think, to build a mill.
Yeah, I mean, it's fairly straightforward, like the metallurgy, and it's not in a place where we can do those kinds of economics. But I think most people that look at it can see that this does have the potential to become a major mine again, and so there's some steps that have to be done to get there. And I think before it was actually built, of course, you would have to do those economic studies to invest that capital. But there's a lot of things that will be done in the shorter term to advance it towards that goal.
So you've had experience underground. You're a mining engineer. You've been in several underground mines before. It would be important, I think, as a shareholder of your company. I would like to see you take this as far forward as you can to leverage the value. Yamana's there, obviously, for obvious reasons. I think they must see some potential value, great value. My concern as a shareholder is I want to make sure that I get the optimum value I can get. I don't want to see Yamana come in and buy you guys out on the cheap. Right. Your market cap is not that great right now.
Great.
I'd like to see it a lot higher before you'd ever sell the project.
Yeah, and I think that the shareholders are all aligned in that. I mean, Yamana is a bit of a special case. They are a major shareholder. They own, I think, around 70% right now. And then our biggest shareholder otherwise is Southern Arc, who owns 19%. And Southern Arc, they're an investor whose interests are aligned with all the other investors. So they will gain from the appreciation in the share price. Whereas Yamana, they may eventually want to actually own the project.
Right.
So the one good thing about this project, because we actually own it privately as private real estate, there's no pressure to, there's no like impending balloon payment or option expenditures that have to be done.
Yeah.
So which is unique compared to most mining companies or exploration companies. So there's no pressure for us to make hasty decisions and not get the value that we feel and our shareholders should get.
Okay, with just a limited amount of time left, you have you're in California. Tell our viewers why that's not all that important. Most people say California can't do it. Yeah. Tell us why permitting and all that isn't of great concern to you, even though you're in Nevada County, California.
Yeah. So the number one thing is that because it's on private land, in California, the counties are the land managers. So it's not the state of California that has discretionary power over whether the mine is permitted to production or not. It's Nevada County, California, which has a recent track history of permitting mining projects. And then, kind of the biggest thing that most shareholders look at, or new shareholders, is that Yamana Gold, they spent a long time doing due diligence, looking into those same issues and the same questions they have that most investors have as far as permitting, and they invested based on their analysis of the situation. So I think that says a lot about the eventual permeability of the project.
Okay, one last question. How well funded are you now? And I know you just did a small raise, $1 million or $2 million. $2 million.
Yeah.
How far will that take you?
That'll take us for the drill program, which we have planned, to about May.
Till May. Okay. Yeah. We're looking for results. I'm glad you could come and tell this story because I think it's one I want people to know about as a shareholder. Very inexpensive stock, Market cap is what, about
So roughly 15 million.
$15 million, and we're looking at a continuation of the second largest gold mine in the history of the United States, underground hard rock gold mine.
That's right.
Wonderful story. Thank you very much for being with us, Ben.
All right, thanks, Jay.
You're great.